Do you want to start recording and just maybe just in case we want to catch
I
some
think
of
it is
this?
recording. Yeah, yeah. I think
Oh,
it's all
cool.
good.
Yeah, awesome. Um, yeah, I remember a couple of years back now, Tom or someone, some beautiful creature, put me, put you in, gifted me you into my field of awareness, and just to be fully honest, I was really inspired by you, and I was also jealous. Parts of me were jealous of your confidence and your there's just like I feel really safe with you actually, just in your presence, and I feel a sense of such a grounded sense of kindness and care and integrity, and so for a couple of years I was like avoiding you. It's like no, I don't want to go see that guy. Like he's gonna see me. He's gonna see those parts of me that I don't want to see.
Mm.
So just to say that, bro, like I'm really inspired by you and your beauty and your strength and your just the calm courage that you embody and that you give to the world. It's made an impact on my life already. So just
Aw, thanks, man. And just for the
yeah,
record, like, if anyone's listening to this, I didn't invite Nick on here to compliment me,
mm, yeah,
but I appreciate it, man. Do what we can, do what we can. Yeah, yeah. Thanks, man. So how is your practice in your life going at the moment? Is there anything that's anchoring you? Anything that's helping you to expand or to let
mm,
go?
mm, beautiful, brother. Thank you for that question. Like, what an honor to be able to answer that right now. I feel like I'm actually in a really gentle and also violent, like so. It's like a flower birthing. It's gentle, but there's also this explosion of having to meet myself in so many ways, um, and that's been kind of cultivated through some acknowledgement of some really, really deep, dark parts of myself. That through daily practice of tea meditation and qigong, I've been able to develop the relationship with all these different parts of myself to anchor, like you said, I love that word, like to anchor so then I can expand. And that possibly is the most significant thing I've ever learned in my life is to bring my awareness back in, bring my mind, bring all the different stories, all the emotions, to bring them through the body and just anchor them into the earth so that I can know those parts of myself, and I can also return to safety within who I am so that I can listen to the beauty of this life that's always in dialogue with us and always inviting us into loving intimate relationship if we can anchor, can ground, and can listen.
Mm,
Um, yeah.
mm. I'd love to know a little bit more about that, and particularly the grounding piece. I think that sometimes when I'm living my life, I feel so ungrounded. I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
whoa, like there's a storm, I'm in the eye of
Yeah.
the hurricane or something.
Mm,
And I
mm,
think that what I've noticed is as humans, I think we try to avoid our pain so much. It's such a
mm,
natural part of who we are, or it's a part of our instinctual nature. But
mm-hmm.
it's like how can we make choices in the eye of the storm so that we can
Mm,
move into a greater sense of who we really are or who we are wanting
mm.
to be, or probably more so who we really are, right? Like
Yeah, who
not
we
so
know,
much
who we know we
becoming.
are.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Beautiful question. And what? Let me just anchor and ground before answering that. what comes to me instinctively and just comes through my body is to learn initially slow down and learn to follow that intuition. That the part of you that feels curious about certain things, and to begin to explore those. And also, I wish someone said this to me 15 years ago, is that it's going to be excruciatingly painful. And now that I feel like now I'm in a space where I feel really, really good about myself, as well as there's still so much more to meet and to compost with and to learn how to feel. I can now realise that the building of community around me, as well as my devotion to myself, to show up every day, to remember how to communicate with life, and to show up to my practice each day, that's probably the most anchoring, grounding thing for me that is allowing me to, and reminding me how to, using my mind as a staff or as a spear, like just gently bring myself back into the earth in the eye of that storm. And that's gonna, I mean, I hope that's gonna keep happening, and my capacity to do so, to do that, to stand in the eye of that storm and to love that storm, and to say, whoa, I bow down to you, storm, because I'm not in control. And so something that I feel to share is, like to consciously, and not on your own, sometimes on your own, but hopefully with friends, consciously walk hand in hand with your friends towards the storm. Instead of trying to avoid it, staying inside the house and the safety, is sometimes actually we just need to walk towards the storm and say, yo, I'm here to listen, and I'm here to learn, and I'm here to die in some sense. Or a part of me is here to die. I don't want to die, storm. I want to live. But in order for me to live, a part of me has to die.
Have you always had that approach, or looking back on your life, where did this all begin for you?
I definitely have not always had that approach. It's been through how to say it in the most like authentic way, because I don't think it ever begun. I just feel like it's always been happening from everything that I inherited from my parents, who inherited it from their parents, all the way back to when humans began, and even all the way back further. But I remember reading some of your questions just to begin with, and one thing that popped up to me was that as a teenager, I was close to killing myself a number of times, because I didn't know who I was, and I was really scared and really angry, and I was using a lot of alcohol and drugs and tobacco to mask the pain that I felt inside. And so I feel like I didn't do anything apart from just live, because I met death a couple of times, and I was close to doing that myself.
That's all right.
But what is that? I thought it was a helicopter.
I thought sometimes in the bush you're not meant to be able to hear your neighbors, right? But that's not always the
Yeah,
case, is it?
totally. This guy's never. He's never down here. The grass is a bit overdue though for a cut. So good on him. Yeah, bro. Like, there's been no like conscious sequence of events apart from I feel like there's been a couple of turning points where I've realized like I'm not in control, and the more that I can surrender to that and to trust something greater than myself, the more I can feel safe to be who I am,
Mm,
and to be the beautiful man, the beautiful being, the beautiful human that I am at the essence,
mm,
underneath all the pain, all the schizophrenia, all the stories, all the judgment, the shame, and through over a decade of really deeply disliking myself,
mm,
I've learned to remember that I actually love myself.
mm. I love
And
that, man.
a teaching has come to me again recently. I've just started studying compassionate inquiry again with this, Dr. Gabor Mate, and I'm pretty sure one of his teachers has said that the very fact that the pain of these beliefs of I'm not good enough, no one likes me, the very fact that they hurt means that they're not true. Because if they were true, they wouldn't hurt.
Wow.
If you truly believed, like if I had a full body belief, no one likes me, I'd be like, I believe that, so that's okay. But I don't actually believe that because I know that that's not true, and I know that I'm
Mm,
worthy of love, and so the pain that drives us, that somehow tortures us,
mm,
uh, is what it can be if we receive support from guides, from mentors, from traditions, um, from groups of people that remember how to live in a way that honors the pain and knows how to navigate it instead of medicating it or
mm,
avoiding it. Um, then we can turn that pain into beauty and into gratitude. And
mm.
I feel like that's one of the sacred responsibilities of being a human.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. I think I moved to Perth
Mm.
late November. Oh, I think it was mid-November last year, mid to late November last year. And so I've been here for, yeah, 3, 4 months. And there's a Buddhist center that's like 15 minutes from my house, the Buddhist Society of
Mm.
WA. And it is really, it's like one of the most prominent Buddhist centers potentially in the world. Like it's thriving. It's got a really
Wow.
thriving
Wow.
community hub there. And I've been going there, and one of the things that the monks, the abbot monk, which is the head monk, Ajahn Brahm, he says, he's always like, don't cure, be kind. It's not about curing, it's
Mm.
about being kind. And I
Exactly.
think that
Yeah.
that's something I had forgotten. It's for some reason I had forgotten that.
Hmm.
And going there and
Yeah,
seeing
bro.
and learning from him and the other monks there, I'm like, wow, they're really onto something. They really know that love is such a powerful force. Like it's unbelievably powerful, and it can really change. It's not even that it can change things, but it can heal things.
Mm. Yeah, I just sending gratitude to those beautiful men and women there in that center. And um, a couple of things came for me when you said that. Like, I feel like the being a man, like in a male body, part of the masculine, maybe if it's out of balance, has been to try and find cures and symptoms for everything, which is also beautiful. It's a really beautiful part of being a man, that problem solver and solution finder, and like, hats off to all men that are doing that. And I've experienced within my own practice that the deepest healing, the deepest sense of remembering how holy and sacred that this life is when I can slow down, I can stop trying to do anything with my mind, and I can just feel what I'm feeling with love and compassion. And and right now I can see the creek. I can see the creek that we live on, and I can see the spot that a few times a week I go and sit down there at like 4 a.m. and I drink tea and I meditate. And if I'm really feeling courageous and dialed in, I just sit and cry,
Mm.
and it connects me to life. It connects me to the water. It connects me to the earth. It connects me to the human family. The more that I allow myself to feel that pain,
Mm.
it opens my whole full bodied awareness to how beautiful and how precious it is to be a human.
Mm. Wow. Has
And
it
then
always been?
and then I forget, and then I go about my day and I'm stressed. I'm like,
Yeah.
got all the things to do, got to provide for the family, business, blah 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 blah, and I forget until the next morning.
Yeah.
So I forget.
Yeah. I can relate to that for sure.
Yeah.
Mm. I read this quote once. I think it was by a Zen monk or a Zen master. He said, "The most important thing is to remember the most important thing."
Yeah.
That
Totally.
just, sparked in my mind. Yeah. Have you always felt like you can access, you know, the ability to grieve? Is that something that's always been there for you?
No, no way, man. No. If I was able to, I wouldn't have almost killed myself twice.
Mm, okay.
Yeah, I feel like we're in a grief phobic culture. Um, and, through some amazing masters and teachers like Stephen Jenkinson and Martin Prechtel and a number of other people that have come into Francis Weller that have come into my awareness that work with grief and death. Um, I've had my whole just world, my whole being open to remembering how important it is to grieve. Like I don't know this, but I've heard on another podcast by people that I trust that I'm pretty sure for the San Bushmen in Botswana or in South Africa, people that are just still living on the earth in the way that their people have for thousands of years. Every week there's a grief ritual. The whole village comes together for an all night ceremony that's for grieving every single week. And as I hear that, I want to like there's anger inside of my body of like, wow, that feels so far away. Because even though I feel like I'm really devoted to knowing the grief and allowing it to heal me and align me with what feels beautiful, I can feel the parts of me that are like, no, fuck that. I don't want to show up for that every week. No way. But I'm
Mm,
going to listen to that and I'm going to keep showing up for that because I feel like it's what's needed. And as I say that, because there's part of me that as a man, I think that I have to always be in control, and I think that I have to be like strong, like that program is still in my body that to cry
mm,
is weak. Even though I've spent the last 3 or 4 years just howling, snotting, slobbering, choking, coughing into the earth, it's that programming still pretty strong inside of me.
mm.
Um, And for me, that comes when I'm actually just loving with myself. Like, oh, hey, bro, what are you feeling there? Like, ooh, right.
Mm.
And it's
Yeah,
beautiful, and I'm beyond grateful for that. To know that.
man, it brings up this story for me of oh, you've been on the Grail, haven't you? The Grail
I have,
retreat?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
cool. Amazing. This is a retreat in the Northern Rivers. It's sort of like a men's initiation retreat for anyone who doesn't know, but yeah, it's almost like a homecoming or a returning in some way. And
Mm.
um, I remember, when I went on that retreat, it wasn't until I participated in it that I started to get more understanding of this idea that, because when I was on the retreat, at some point there was a discussion, not to reveal too much because that's not part of the agreement of going on the retreat, but
Mm.
the idea that there's a wounding in the divine feminine,
Mm.
and that suppressing ourselves is so widespread, that
Mm.
notion of the feminine in me, and maybe the feminine in other people as well, is it's so not accepted, so the ability for
Mm.
me to access that, it really shifted after going on a retreat like that. It was a
Mm.
huge, huge moment among other moments of me, you know, really starting to get in touch with how I actually felt. And I really
Mm.
didn't know that that was such a guiding light, that it could be such a guiding light
Mm.
in my life. It was almost like I hadn't even, to not know that I didn't know. I had no idea that I could even access it, that it was even there, so it's not until I had these experiences that allowed me to see that, oh my God, actually, like, there's this whole universe under of intelligence that I can connect to,
Mm.
that is who I am.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, it's so beautiful that's being awakened in the body of man, that we can remember to embrace the beauty and grace of the goddess and the feminine inside of us. That, even using those words, I feel a bit. I just saw a platypus just popped his head out of the creek as I said that,
Wow.
which is rare. It's quite rare to see.
Wow.
So maybe I'm not actually going to continue with that sentence, because I was going to try and cover my vulnerability about using those words, the goddess and the feminine, um, by explaining it. But yeah, like to know that, to remember that we don't have to be like strong and tough and in control and know the answers and angry all the time as men. Like, there's playfulness and the sensitivity and sensuality and like poetry and romantic essence of who we are is just equally as beautiful and welcome. Um, yeah, I just pray that all men can remember how beautiful they are, and that it's okay to be beautiful and it's safe to be, and with total acknowledgement of what's been carried in the body of man, how much
Mm,
how much pain and how much intergenerational holding and tension and fear there is in the body of man. So
mm.
being able to meet it in my own body, like the overwhelm of responsibility, especially once kids come through, and um, it's a lot.
Mm. It is a lot, man. Walking in these shoes,
Like,
these human shoes.
dude, I'm just remembering one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. But it was, I think it was about 8 months. My son was 8 months old, and I was going about an hour away from here up to some dear friends and teachers up at One Movement. There's their organisation, Balana Naja. They were holding a retreat with this incredible. How do we even explain this student? She was amazing, like shamanic transcendental dance workshop, a week long workshop, and I was saying goodbye to my son. I was holding him next to the car, and I remember it so clearly. and I was really uncomfortable. I was feeling so much tension inside my body, and I wanted to just like give him to his mum and just kind of drive as fast as I could away from that sensation. And something in me just said, I mean, because I'm a Qigong practitioner, I remembered when that tension's there, soften, let go. And I was really tense. My asshole was like a fucking rock, you know. I was like, because I was also afraid of going to those retreats. I still feel vulnerable showing up in group spaces. And anyways, I softened, and I just burst into tears and hugged my son, crying with him for 10, 15 minutes. And I was having visions whilst I was doing that of men in like uniforms and like soldiers' uniforms throughout time walking away from their families and just giving the kids to their mum and going look after your mum and just walking off without having that grieving process. And it was like I was eventually I had to give him to his mum because I needed to be on the floor, and I was on the floor and I was howling, like stitched doubled over in pain, crying into the earth for all of these men that have never cried in that kind of situation. And I was just going to go dance for a week. You know, it was like, it was really humorous in that sense, but I felt like I was going off to war in some way, and it was to meet the pain inside my body. And it was a really transformational moment for me.
Mm. Wow, man. Yeah, that's such a beautiful, it's an honor to hear you share that. I've had experiences as well where I don't know if this is my mind like fabricating things, but sometimes, you know, thinking about having images of war, having images of some sort of destruction, you know, in a warlike setting.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And I think that it
mm-hmm.
really does run through us, you know,
Definitely.
perhaps predominantly as men, because we are the ones, that gender specifically has been sent to war more than any other.
Yeah.
And I think that there are those wounds there. And you're right, you
Mm-hmm.
know, runs through us.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's in the blood. It's in the DNA. Like it's here in the body. It's not like I'm not Nick. You know, like I'm a beautiful artistic expression of so many different families that have come together over thousands and thousands of years that have somehow created me. Like it's not just me. It's not just, and this is where I would say I don't know this to be true, but I think all cultures before monotheism, in what was called animist, is now called animist or pagan traditions, they understood that the relationality with the ancestors was a reality. It's not like a spiritual concept. It's a living, breathing truth that in your blood, in your body, in the way that your nervous system meets this earth, are people that have lived before you and that have passed on their traits, positive and negative. And now, finally, our dear cult science has caught up, and there's a field of study called epigenetics that is proving this, or proving this in what we now know, what we are taught to believe is proof. And indigenous cultures have been saying this for a long time. It's in the Bible, man. Jesus said it. The sins of the forefather will be passed down onto the son, something like that, for 7 generations. Whatever you do now, your great grandkids are going to potentially know about it.
Wow.
or not know about it, but still go about their daily life enacting in a way that was given to them by you, and how you've walked on this earth today.
That's crazy, man.
It's a big concept, yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like you factor in your ancestors a lot in your sort of day-to-day life or thinking?
I'm beginning to. I'm remembering through the daily meditation, especially with the tea. Like the tea has been showing me how to work with those. Not even work with them. I don't want to say that. Just to know those ancestors, to communicate with them in silence, to ask them for support, ask them for guidance, because I can't do this on my own. I can't. I'm here to say, guys, I can't fucking do this on my own, and I need help. And if we remember how to communicate with them, they're there to support us. But we've got to remember that back when culture and people were in dialogue with the ancestral forces on a daily basis, there wasn't all this distraction. There weren't cars, man. There weren't phones. There weren't the sensitivity, the human body, the nervous system is so much more attuned to the field of life that it would have been, possibly, this is my assumption, it would have been easier to communicate. And there were elders, there was a whole village that would have been encouraging you and educating us on how to do so, instead of us stumbling and finding our own way there really painfully and destructively.
Yeah. That's so interesting, man. I think my nervous system has been, that's something that I probably started to become more aware of, like, gosh, probably when I started studying kinesiology, when I was first studying it. And that was about 3 years ago, I'd say. Because the way that the muscle testing works with kinesiology is, you're putting a very gentle amount of pressure on a muscle, but it's so gentle that when I do it with someone, or when I have done it in the past, I'm not tuning to the muscle, I'm sort of tuning into the nervous system. Yeah. And that was when I first started to realize that there was my nervous system, there was a nervous system. And, unfortunately, since then, my nervous system has gone through different phases of being really kind of cooked, man, like really kind of affected. And I struggle in the modern world sometimes to live. My nervous system it takes a toll, it really does. And I'm just curious if you relate much to that, or if you have any other ideas around the nervous system and your nervous system and living today.
Beautiful, brother. Thanks so much for that honesty there. And I'm just trying to remember his name. There's someone in the field of trauma. It's not Stephen Porges. I can't remember his name, but anyway, Gordon Newfield, maybe one of the big wigs of somatic trauma informed education at the moment has coined a term that's interpersonal neurobiology. And so again, this is science's way of proving the interconnectedness of the nervous system, in that what I perceive as my nervous system, like right now, even though we're on a screen, our nervous systems are connected, and I can feel you, bro. That I told you I felt safe with you in the beginning. I wasn't feeling that when I started this call. I was feeling stressed. And so from what I'm learning of the nervous system is that, like, we're not, no man is an island. We're not these individual creatures we've been taught we are. Like, we're in relationship always with the world around us. And I just spent 6 weeks down in Melbourne. I'm trying to, and pretty close, and asking for any support to make this happen, but I'm trying to get into a maximum security juvenile detention center to teach some Qigong and some meditation and some of the stuff we've been talking about here. And in November, I was in there for 3 days, and the nervous system of that place is heightened. and it's not each individual doing their own thing. There's like a collective energy that's it's a total organism. You know, and I walked in there and I was like, luckily I have tools. Luckily I have supports that I can feel safe to ground, regulate and soothe my own nervous system, which just comes back to breathing, to coming back to breathing and grounding,
Mm.
unclenching the muscles. So as a mentor and a therapist, I work with people with trauma, with embodiment, with whatever they need support with, spiritual connection. And the main thing is, even right now, I'm feeling slightly nervous, and my anus is clenched, and my legs are just crossed. So all we have to do is soften the muscles and bring our mind and our attention back into our body in this moment. And with the exhale and the inhale, we can soothe that nervous system. But it takes time, man. And it's like
Mm.
in my experience, it's been a really excruciatingly painful process. I feel like I've crawled up Mount Everest on my stomach.
Mm.
And yeah, like it's big to be a human right now. There's a lot of humans on this planet
Yeah, yeah, there is, man.
feel,
I think,
feeling feeling a lot and not feeling a lot, avoiding a lot.
yeah, I think that the population is, it's about to peak. Apparently, the population is coming close to that peak and it's going to be dropping off. That's pretty interesting,
Mm.
hey? Pretty weird that that's like, so on a population level, we must be at this like maximum capacity for the planet, right?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I would say that's my belief for sure. There's too many of us.
Mm. Yeah. So when are you hoping to get into this juvenile center?
As soon as possible. And I'd be flying down there from here 3 or 4 times a year just to do 2 or 3 weeks work with whoever's interested, preferably with the young guys that have been in there for a long time, that are in there for a long time. Because man, if they were taught and committed to a daily practice, they could walk out of that place fully reformed. And then
Mm.
where does that go? You know, who are they going to support with the? Because essentially all those guys are in prison. They're the most hurt humans in our society.
Mm.
There's no one carrying more pain than those young men and women, and
Absolutely.
you know the ones in prison, the adults, and
Mm.
my grandfather actually was the minister for police and prisons in New South Wales, and from what I from what I know, which isn't too much, I hear he was progressive. He was a progressive liberal politician, which I don't really know what that means, but I think he tried to make some positive reform. Um, and so something in me, you know, like through learning again that ancestral connection, like I just asked for his support. If this is if this is going to be good for
Mm.
all life on the planet, show me how, show me the way in. If
Mm.
this is going to be good, and if it's not, I'll take a humble pie and I'll stop trying.
Mm. Yeah. And what does that look like? Like after you, if that's something you've done before, like how do you sort of, sometimes when I connect to any guidance on a spiritual level in the
Mm,
spiritual realms, I ask for it, I sort of open up and I get really honest. And then
mm,
that can help me to start to listen in my life day to day after I've sort of invited that in. What does it look like for
mm.
you? Does it just happen very naturally and organic or in another way?
Yeah, I just first, this is kind of a disclaimer. Like, I'm not a teacher on any of this stuff. Like, I'm still in my apprentice years of understanding how this stuff, these relationships and energetics and just communication works with these guides and forces. And but for me, it's just asking the questions, like literally talking as if we're just having a chat. It's the same. It's the same thing. It's like sometimes think it has to be this performance or almost, and you're like, no, mate, just be as you are. And also that like quite often I ask for things that I'm not ready for, and I don't get it. And what I get is humility or patience or a reflection of my ego that was wanting something.
Mm.
And
Mm.
and in the slowing down and the meeting, like I keep doing this because I do so much qigong, and I'm just going into the slowness always, like meeting that water. The more that we can slow down and listen with our senses, we can hear the communication, because from my experience, and I can only talk from my experience, is that sometimes like they'll just whisper something, like a bird will fly past and be like, "Oh, you need to go to that shop." What is it? It's just that listening,
Mm.
and again the humbling of like I'm I'm just I'm just a child here, learning, remembering, and these beings, this earth, like that water I'm looking at, it's billions of years old. What do I know
Mm.
compared to that water?
Mm. Mm.
So again,
Yeah.
it just comes back to the relationship, the dialogue, and I give thanks for all the people and all the cultures that have shared this information with me, so that I can remember that.
Mm. Mm. Amazing, dude. So I know we're starting to sort of get to the end of the time we have,
Mm.
to end of this call together. How would you like to let people know a little bit about your work? Because I know that you're doing mentoring, you're
Mm-hmm.
doing, yes, you mentioned somatic work with people, qigong, etc. Like, do you want to speak to that?
Sure. Thanks for that. Yeah. So I have a business called Earth Centered Mentoring, and the essence the essence of what I'm supporting people is to remember who they are, is to remember the beauty, to remember the connection to the earth, to remember the relationality with life around them, and that in relationship with all of these forces and beings and humans, we can know ourselves in that way. Um, so I weave in like trauma informed psychotherapy. I'm in training in psychotherapy and have been for a few years. Um, Mainly, what comes through is I support people to meet the grief in their bodies.
Mm.
This is a terrible thing to market myself about. Most people are like, "Are you kidding me, mate? No, no, thank you."
Yeah.
I get it. It feels like dying. But the majority of my sessions are just supporting people to cry and
Mm.
to sit there with them and just like create the reverence and the safety and the space to meet that. Um, and again, just gratitude for all the many, many teachers and people that have supported me on my journey, as I've
Mm.
stumbled so ungracefully, I would say, to this point where I can support people in a more graceful way.
Amazing, man. Yeah, I stumble all the time, bro.
Yeah, yeah, continue to every day.
That's how we are sometimes,
Thank,
you know?
thank God, the humble stumble.
Yeah. Amazing, man. Yeah, I feel like I could definitely go deeper, and
Yo,
that would be amazing to do that. But I also want to just honor. I know that you have to go somewhere soon, so
Mm.
yeah, we'll
It's one.
close it
It's
out now.
1:11 also.
Yeah, what's that? Sorry.
It's 1:11 my side also. It's good time to wrap it up.
Yeah, cool.
Mm.
Okay, and yeah, man, thank you. This is the first, like, this is the first episode. Woo! Like, have a bit
Woohoo!
of fun with that. Like, playing around. But yeah, man, like, I'm just like, I'm sort of, sometimes I feel like I melt in your presence because I feel so seen by you, and I feel
Mm.
yeah, that there's just so much wisdom in you that, yeah, makes me feel happy. So
Mm.
thank you, man. Thanks, appreciate you.
Mm. Welcome, brother, and again, likewise. I feel the same melting. It's beautiful. Like let's just melt. Let's just continue to melt into puddles.
Nice, man.
Yeah,
Cool.
and also, Bridget, and also just to say that I'm fully here to support you in your life, bro. I really love you, and I wanna support you too,
Mm,
because I really feel you're in such integrity and care for what you do and how you do it. So just to say that, bro, I'm here always.
thanks, man. Yeah, appreciate you. Right back at you.
Mm,
All
yo,
right. Well, goodbye, everyone, and see you on the
you,
next episode. Peace.
proud of you, bro. Massive. Chill, brother.